Hi, we're here again at Discount Water Softeners with a general setup and installation video for our Genesis line water softeners. The video will cover our Genesis Upflow, Genesis Premier, as well as Genesis Revolution general setup and installation video. All of our Genesis systems ship out of our facility up to and including 48,000 grain sizes with the resin already loaded in the tank for you. So it makes a lot easier on you when you receive the system so that you don't have to be pouring resin in. Anything 64,000 grain and larger, the resin will either be partially loaded or not loaded at all due to the weight of the system when it has the resin in there. So you'll be provided a funnel as well as instructions and other small parts to assist with the installation of the resin into the tank. So, but generally speaking, a 24, 32, 40, 48,000 grain, they're going to come shipped to you with a resin tank already loaded with resin, a special temporary shipping cap, as well as a brine tank with lid and the control head contained inside of there, and any small parts that might be included, as well as any optional upgrades that you chose when you checked out. So your resin tank, which again will have the resin already in it, may arrive standing straight up, may arrive laying on its side, and in some cases may arrive upside down. The carriers that handle these don't always do a great job, but we do a really good job of making sure when we ship these out that they're double banded. They are foam insulated so that they're protected during shipping. In rare instances, they do become damaged. We ask that you email us immediately if any of the tank is damaged, any of the parts are damaged. The box may look terrible, but if the tank or any of the items inside are damaged, please email us at support@discountwatersofteners.com as soon as possible. You include a picture of the actual damage to the item, and we will address it for you right away. We have found that less than 1% of our shipments are damaged, so we got a pretty good track record going there, but it does happen, and we do address it right away for our customers. One of the first things you want to do after you get the tanks out of the box is you can remove this temporary shipping cap. As you can see, there's a inner tube that protects the resin from getting into the riser tube, which sits in the center of the resin tank. There might be a couple of small pieces of resin inside that tube. It's not the end of the world. If one or two pieces get in there, you could wipe it out with your hand. Moving forward from there, you would want to unbox the control head that is inside of the resin tank. In this case, we actually have the Genesis Premier control head. This is an upflow high efficiency model. Uses a lot less salt than 90% of the water softeners out there. Uses anywhere from 50 to 75% less salt, about 2/3 less water, and it has a lot of great features as well as a long 7, even 10-year warranty on the control head. So what you want to do with this control head is, prior to installing it on the actual tank itself, there's a couple things you'll need to do. If you read your quick startup guide, all of this is covered within your quick startup guide. But I'm going to go over a few key points to make sure that it gets conveyed to you. There's going to be a lubricant that comes with your system, a small little clear tube of lubricant. You want to use that lubricant on the inner O-ring of the bottom side of the control head, and then also use some on the outer O-ring, which mates up to the tank flange on the top of the tank. There'll also be a white cone, which is an upper screen or an upper collector that needs to be attached to the bottom side of the control head. This will be in the small parts box in with the control head, and all you simply do with that is you just slide the larger side into the bottom side of the control head like so, and then it just, like, quarter turn or 1/16 of a turn, clicks into place, and it's locked on there. You can then take that cone and slide it over that riser tube or distributor tube that's in there. You may have to persuade it to the center of the tank, as they do sometimes get out of center when they're shipped out, but that's very common. What you want to do is kind of wiggle the control head. I'm going to move this a little closer so you can see. You want to wiggle that control head down to where it's nice and centered, and then you can ensure that the threads go on nicely. And you want to tighten this down to just about hand tighten. And then usually what our guys typically do on install is they'll go about probably a half turn past hand tight. So that is going to ensure that it compresses that seal, that O-ring, and you don't have any issues with a leak after your installation. I'm going to leave this control head kind of sideways like this so you can see there is a bypass with 2 red handles here. That is in the open position right now. So if the 2 handles are facing each other, that is the bypass position. All right, so we usually start all our systems off in the bypass mode just to ensure that prior to installation, nothing happens where anything escapes or comes out of there. On the back side, there's going to be 2 connections that you'll need to make for your one for your brine line, one for your drain line. The brine line is a compression fitting. Your brine hose will already be attached to your brine tank when you receive your system. Inside of the small parts bag where your control head was contained will be a small tube insert. This compression nut comes already pre-installed there. I'll try and turn that so you can see that a little bit better. That is your compression nut for your brine line. You want to unscrew that. It might be a little snug. And you're going to slide that over the tubing from your brine tank. Okay? Put that there so you can see it. The tube insert that I mentioned, I'm going to show you this up against there so you can get a better view of it, is to ensure that the tubing doesn't come flying off during the refill stage of the regeneration process. So you want to slide that tapered end down in there, make sure that's nice and snug, and then you're going to push this all the way into that elbow. Move my hand out of the way. Push that all the way into the elbow, then bring your compression nut in and tighten all the way down. Okay, that'll ensure proper connection. It'll ensure proper draw as well as proper refill of the regeneration cycle for the brine of the system. I just flip this 180 degrees and you'll be able to see the drain elbow. Now the drain elbow is a simple hose barb fitting that is 1/2 inch ID. We do offer drain tubing in different lengths in the 1/2 inch ID, 5/8 inch OD. This is a short little length of it. We provide it in 25 and 50 foot lengths. This just slides on and locks on by just the simple pressure of the hose barb. It's very difficult to get it on there, which means it's difficult to get off. We do suggest adding a hose barb fitting, a hose clamp on there, tightened down, because you don't ever want this to inadvertently fly off years down the road, because the softener does discharge at a rate of 2 and sometimes 3 gallons per minute for 5 or 10 minutes, and you don't want to ever have that discharge into your home. So that would be something that is important to add. We do not provide that hose clamps, but it is recommended. One of the final things that I'd like to go over with this are your threaded connections that come with. Included with every Genesis system is a 1/2 inch, is a 1 inch, as well as a 3/4 inch threaded male connection for your installation. So you just use whichever works for your installation. If you have 3/4 inch plumbing, you're going to use the 3/4 inch connection. If you have 1 inch plumbing, you're going to use the 1 inch male threaded connection. And it's very simple to install these. Little red clip, pop that out, push the fitting in until it bottoms out, pass the O-ring, put your clip in. If you're going to be using copper or PEX or PVC or CPVC connections, the threaded connection can just be mated with a female thread, and you'll be able to make your connection from there. If you're going to use copper, make sure that you're doing the installation to where you keep the plastic cool, because if you don't, you're going to melt the fitting and you're going to not have good results. You will definitely have a leak. So I switched this back over to the 3/4 inch fitting because this can actually be done sideways. It's a 90-degree elbow, or up and down, or down. I'm not sure why the manufacturer makes a 90-degree fitting for the 3/4, but then makes a straight fitting for the 1 inch, but they do. So finally, if you upgraded your system to include the Quick Pro connector kit, I'm going to just show this to you real quick. It's a little bent, but normally they come straight. This is a stainless steel 18-inch corrugated connection that can be used with any of our Genesis water softeners. They come in 1 inch and they come in 3/4 inch. These are really an installer's dream, because what you can do is you can actually screw this down onto your connector that comes right out of the control head. And then on your other end, you have what's called a John Guest push to connect fitting. It's like a SharkBite, but these were around before SharkBite. These will work with any copper, PEX, or CPVC piping. They will not work with regular PVC. So be aware of that. The outside diameter of PVC is different. It'll only work with CPVC, PEX, or copper. So these can be simply just bent into place any which way you want. They can be crisscrossed. They can be 90. You could make it into an S if you want, but it's basically going to simplify your installation so that you don't have to do any sweating of copper or gluing of fittings. So this is an option on any of our water softeners that we sell. That's really it. We're going to go over the programming in a separate video, but if you have additional questions on installation, your quick startup guide is your best form of finding answers. The manual covers a lot more, but a lot of it is not really going to be used. Your quick startup guide is your best resource for the initial installation. That covers a couple other probably small things that are obvious, but we don't have in this video. But if you have more questions, please email us at support@discountwatersofteners.com, and someone will be happy to help you. And please take a look at the programming videos that we have for this model, as well as our Genesis Revolution. And between this video and that, you should be able to get your system installed completely without issue. If after reading all the instructions you have more questions, again, we'll be here and we'll be happy to help. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your purchase, and we look forward to assisting you down the road.